Okay. So, Ashrei will be Ivan, yes. Okay, as far as opening the order. Okay, so that's Bruce. Bruce is V'ahavta. Okay, are we at 10 o'clock now? Okay, we better start because, okay, I'm going to start from down here. You can all hear me? Yeah, I have a big mouth, a pagadol. Gets me in trouble. Hey, but it's fun trouble. Okay, good morning, everyone. You know, I'm Larry Marcus. Thank you for being here. We may get a few more. And those who are watching online, welcome, Shabbat Shalom. Okay, we'll start, of course, with the Talit, and we'll turn to page 190 for that, 190. Okay. As I wrap myself in the talit, I fulfill the mitzvah of my Creator. Bless Adonai, O my soul. Adonai, my God, how great you are. You are robed in glory and majesty, wrapping yourself in light as in a garment, spreading forth the heavens like a curtain. Together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvot tov, v'tzivanu l'hitatef b'tzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in the fringes. Okay. Page 186, we'll begin with an opening song, Modeh Ani. Page 186. Modeh Ani lefonecha, melech chai v'kayam, shechezarta b'nishmati bechem la rabba emunatecha. Okay. Page 185, and we'll start with the first reader. Please announce your name prior to that.
Harriet Cohen. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and hardness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, you'll just pass it on to the next reader. Okay, the next reading, page 192. Join with me in the Ma Tovu at the top of the page. Ma Tovu olelecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma Tovu olelecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Okay, the next reader, page 193 at the top.
My name is Bruce Grossman. May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, and who give bread to the hungry, and who clothe the naked, and take the friendliness into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest.
Page 197, the next reader. Oops, just pass the mic on. 197 at the bottom of the page.
My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoir of the holy. All the time it remains within me. I am thankful for its thirst for compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds.
Baruch atah Adonai, asher bi'ado nefesh kol chai, v'ruach kol basar ish. We turn now to the Nisim B'chol Yom, the miracles of the everyday. But first, both online, please enter it in the chat if you have some simcha or some significant event or has happened in the last week or so. And good, Harriet.
Yeah, we haven't been here for a while, and probably won't be open during the summer because we get sure. But our grandson's actually in high school and is going
Mazel
to
tov.
University of Wisconsin. Arrival of Penn State, which we're not real happy about, but we went at a big Penn school. And last week, Al and I took our bar bat mitzvah grandchildren. Our hyena was bat mitzvah in June, Ethan, and last June, Ethan in March. We took them to Costa Rica on an adventure by Disney trip for their bar bat mitzvah. We're doing this, we did this with all of our grandchildren, some sort of a trip to make memories with their grandparents as we get older. So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I'm just glad that I lived this long to be able to do that.
Very mazel tov.
So,
Okay. Anyone else? Simcha, anything? Goldie.
After some negative things happened, her previous boss died, she was able to get the business and she was hired by a company. She's now general manager of this new business. There's a bump up for her.
Great.
Yeah,
Terrific. Anybody else? Ivan.
I have a sister-in-law whose sister is visiting California with her husband during the week, and they'll all be at synagogue next week. I'll let you know.
Great. Look for Tov. Great. Terrific.
they'll all be here next week, is that what I heard you say?
They're coming on Thursday.
Great. Terrific. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. And online also. Entered anything simcha or significant. Okay. We turn now to 198, right? And let's see. Next reader. Lead us responsively in the English, depth translations of each blessing. Okay, it's the next reader. Page 198.
You don't want to read? Ivan Rudolph, the unknown from the outside. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Okay, praise to you, Adonai our God,
Sovereign of
of the universe, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who frees the captive.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who lifts up the fallen.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who strengthens our steps.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who clothes the naked.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who gives strength to the weary.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
to you, Adonai our God. In the image of God.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has made me free. Praise to you, Adonai our
Adonai,
God,
sovereign of the universe, who has made me a Jew.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who girds Israel with strength.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who crowns Israel with splendor. Now the final blessing, which is blessing for the engagement with Torah, which we will do in several moments. Top of page 204 together in the Hebrew and the English. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. Okay. 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 Yeah. We turn ahead now to page 215 as part of Pazukei Zimra, the verses of praise, the Ashrei on the top of two. The translation will be on the top. Okay, Hebrew then is top of page 215. Yes, 215. Okay, responsively. Ashrei ha'am shechachalo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Eloha. B'chol yom arbachecha, v'ala shimcha li'olam bo'ed. Dur v'dur yispach ma'asecha, v'gurtecha yagidu.
Adar kivod hodecha, u'divrei nifotecha asita.
V'gurtecha yameru, v'gulata asaprena.
Zecher rav tuvacha yabia, v'sitcha yikranenu.
Chanun v'rachamim Adonai, Erech apayim u'roch chesed.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'haramav al kol ma'asav.
Yaducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kivod malchutecha yomeru, u'gedulotcha asaf yidaberu.
Yehodia livnei Adam, Guratov Malchuto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol yador v'adar.
So mech Adonai l'chol noflim, zokef l'chol hakafufim.
Ani kol alecha yisaberu, v'ato noten lahem et haklam b'ito.
Yadecha, u'mashiach kol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai l'chol karov, l'chol asher yakrehu b'yamet.
Ritzon Yirov Yaseh, V'et Shivatam Yishma V'yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai et l'chol avav, et kol ha'yarshim yashmid.
Tivat Adonai Yepimti,
Me'atav yad olam. Hallelujah. Thank you, Ivan. Okay, we move ahead now. And there's a reading on page 207. I'm sorry, yes. 207. We turn back to 207. Yes. Yes, the 8 degrees. I love this because it stresses that the anonymity. It goes from the direct to the person on up to the highest level. Helping somebody be independent. And the next reader. Okay, please introduce yourself. It's on, it should be on.
Hal Wickman. There are 8 degrees in the giving of tzedakah, each one higher than the one before. To give grudgingly, reluctantly, or without regret. To give less than one should, but with grace. To give what one should, but only after being asked. To give before one is asked. To give without knowing who will receive it, although the recipient knows the identity of the giver. To give without making known one's identity. To give so that neither giver nor receiver knows the identity of the other. To help another to become self-supporting by means of a gift, a loan, or by finding employment for the one in need.
Okay, thank you, Hal. Okay, we turn ahead now to page 224. With the Reader's Kaddish at the top, 224. Yitkara v'yitkara shemei rabba b'yoma divrcha chutevem machutei chayechon v'yomechon u'chayerecho bet Yisrael Bagala, uvizman korib, imaru, amen. Yeheshmei rabba mevarach, yolam olamei olamaya, yitbarach, vishtabach, vizbar, vizomam, viznaseh, visadar, visaleh, Yisalav Shmei Kedusha Brechu Le'Lom in Kol Berchata V'Shirata Tush Berchata V'Nechemata Damiran B'Alma V'Imru Amen. We turn ahead now to 226, and if you're able, please rise. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Li'olam Va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. Page 228. 228. The next reader. Goldie, thank you.
Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illumine the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai our God, for the excellent work of your hands, and for the lights you created, may they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we may all swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hama'orot. Thank you, Goldie. Okay, turn ahead now to page 232 and join me in Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. At the top of 234, Bruce, would you lead us in Via Havta? Okay. The mic. Harriet. Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam v'shivtecha v'vetecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshachbecha uvkumecha ukshartam liot al yadecha v'ayulatotafot b'neinecha uvtavtam amuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tizkaru asitem et mitzvotai v'tem kiddoshim lelohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeiti Echem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Thank you, Bruce. Okay, page 237. If people fall. The next reader, please. Page 237 at the top of the page. 237.
If people fall, can they not also rise? If they break away, can they not return? The stork in the sky knows when to migrate. The dove and the swallow know the season of return. What human instinct knows the time to turn back? What cue sparks the conscience of the soul? We pray to sense this day anew, attuned to the call of sacred living.
Thank you. We move ahead now to the call for freedom, our song of freedom, Michamocha 240. 240. Okay. Michamocha Elim Adonai, Michamocha Nedor B'Kodesh, Norati Lo Osef Eleh, Shira Chadasha, Shivu Gerulim, Lesimchat al Svar Hayam, Yachad Kulam Hodu, V'im Lichu V'yamru, Adonai Imlo Li'olam Va'ed, Sur Yisrael, Kuma B'Ezrat Yisrael, Ufanegu Mecha Yehuda V'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tzavot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. We turn ahead now on 242, and as you're able, please rise for the Avot, the Tefillah. 242. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my praise may be your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, B'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora. El Elyon. Gomel Chasadim Tovim. V'Konei Hakol. V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot. U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'Neihem. Leman Shemo B'Yava. Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch Atah Adonai. Magen Abraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai. Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lo Shia. Morid Atal. Mekachel Chayim B'Chesed. Mechayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim Rofech Oalim. Umatir Asurim. Umkayei Emunato. Lishenei Afar. Michamo Chabal Givurot. Umidam Melach. Melech Memit Umchayeh. Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'amana Tarakayot HaKol. Baruch Atah Adonai. Mechayei HaKol. 248. Nekadesh Atzimcha Ba'olam. Kishem Shemak Tishim Oto Bishmei Marom. Kakatuv Aliyah Niviecha. V'kara Zel Zevi Amar. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Adonai Tzivot. Melo Chol Haaretz. Yevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu. Madir Shimcha B'chol Haaretz. Baruch Kivod Adonai. Mimkamo. Echad Eloheinu. Finu Malkeinu. Umoshienu V'hu Yashmienu. B'rachamav Li'enei Kol Chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch Adonai Li'olam. Elohai Yichzion. Ledor Vador. Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha. Lenetzach Netzachim Kudushacha Nakish. Rishib Chacha Leinu. Mi Pinu Lo Yamush. Li'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai. Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Please join me at the top of 250 with Yismechu. 250. Yismechu v'malachutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. Korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. Korei oneg Shabbat. Am mekadesh Shavit Shabbat. Kulam yitbahu v'yitangu mitu echa Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. Korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashmi v'tzita b'v'kedashta Shabbat. Chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. Korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Zecher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Yismachu v'malachutacha Shomrei Shabbat Korei Oneg Shabbat. Reading on page 251. Next reader, we are a people. Who has the mic?
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time.
Thank you. And on page 253 at the top, let's read us together in the English. We offer thanks. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Okay, page 256, both at 256, both middle of the page and the end of the page. Next reader, starting with we acknowledge. Next reader.
We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving.
Baruch atah Adonai atov shimcha l'oel lahodot. Thank you. Goldie, Sim Shalom. We move ahead for a prayer for peace. Yeah. Mike? Goldie. Our prayer for peace, 258. 258. Thank you, Goldie. We pause now for some personal prayer or meditation, which we will conclude with O Say Shalom on page 260 at the bottom. Say shalom bimrama, Uya say shalom aleinu, Yal kol Yisrael, Imru, Amen. Ya say shalom, Shalom aleinu, Yal kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael. Imru, Amen. We turn now to page 363. For Seder Kriyat HaTorah L'Shabbat, the Torah service for the Shabbat day. Page 363, and please rise. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your city to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear that they too may learn to revere your God. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'davar Adonai ve'Yerushalayim baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, u'davar Adonai Yerushalayim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo, Kalul Adonai, Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Olam, Olam, Omein. Al HaTorah, B'Yal HaAvodah, B'Yal Gemilut HaSadim. B'Yal Gemilut HaSadim. Be seated, please. We continue our travels in the book of Bamidbar, Numbers, with a double portion which ends the book of Numbers. Our double portion is entitled Matot Masai. These titles are taken from first the fifth word in verse 2 of chapter 30, appearing on page 1215, and the second word of chapter 33, appearing on page 1234. Matot has been translated as tribes, and Masai as marches. Okay. And there is a series of topics which I shall briefly mention, and then Hal will expound on later, and we'll talk about it as a group. Okay. First, the vows of men and those of women. The last military campaign, which was the Midianite War, and distribution of the conquered lands both east of the Jordan. A review of the Israelites' wandering for the 40 years in the wilderness. The boundaries and the apportionment of the conquered lands among the tribes. Also, discussion of land for the Levite group or tribe, and the often mentioned cities of refuge is discussed. And as again, we will discuss this in a few moments. So would someone like the honor of an aliyah today? Anybody? Okay, Bruce. The blessing before will be on page 368.
Where will you be reading from?
And the reading, yes, comes from chapter 30, starting with verse 1, page 1215. 1215.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Ambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe el b'nei Yisrael kechol asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. Vayidaber Moshe el Roshei hamatot livnei Yisrael lemor zeh hadavar asher tziva Adonai. Neder l'Adonai et shava shavua le'asor Yisur al nafsho lo yachel devaro kechol hayotze mipiv yaaseh ve'isha ki tidor neder l'Adonai ve'asra eser bevet aviha bin ureha ve'shama aviha et Nedara Esrav, Asher Esra al Navsha, V'cherish la Aviha, V'kamu kol nedareha, V'kol Isar Asher Esra al Navsha, Yakum. V'im heini Aviha Ota, V'yom shamu kol nedareha, Ve'esareha asher asra al nafsha lo yakum v'Adonai yishlach la ki heini aviha ota v'im hayo tiyeh la'ish undareha aleha o mivta shifateha asher asra al nafsha V'shama isha b'yom shamu, hecharish la v'kamu nedareha ve'hesareha asher asra al nafsha yakumu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, and as I said, next week we will begin the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. Okay. Now, before we move on, we pause. Question?
When we finish
Chazak, need Chazek, yes. Thank you, Phil. Yes, be strong, and support one another as we proceed. Thank you. Okay, now. Okay, we pause for a moment to remember those now who are ill or in some type of physical or emotional difficulty or situation. And I invite those both online to add people's names after I give the list of names. And we remember today for prayer for healing, starting with Cindy DeRizio, Harry Greenberg, Alice Oppenheimer, Frida Shapiro, Judy Fowler, Cindy Rosenberg, Karen Mara, Brian Zabel, Nick Bod, Deb Nielsen, Moshe Ben Elizabeth Theodore, Rosalie Middleman, Jennifer Ness, Mel Klein, George Goldstein, Harriet Eisner, Carla Teich, Linda Drachman, Chaim Ben David, Eileen Davison, Craig Davison, Hugh Morton, Art Bond, Roberta Levine, Jordan Steinberg, Lisa Galda, Ed Crosby, Myra Kaplan, Jeff Schaefer, Marion Gewurz, Louis Allahud, Carol Schaefer, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Shirley Friedlander, Michael Infante, Gary Garnick, Ann Marsden, Rick Ulrich, Ileana Cohn, and I add George Bishop and Murray Moskowitz. And would anyone like to add? Okay, Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Goldie, would you lead us in the Mishaberach? Page 371. Kor habracha. Thank you, Goldie. Okay, we move on now to the Haftarah, which both this week, for both Matot and Masai, they use the prophet Jeremiah, one of his opening chapters. And today, we'll be reading from chapter 1, and it begins on page 1278. Okay, so then the connection for prophet Jeremiah is, as does it warn us in the Torah text. Jeremiah warns the people about the sin of people not honoring their obligations and vows to both Adonai and their fellow man. So, unfortunately, Jeremiah was tortured through his life. He had various visions, and he kind of predicted the fall of Jerusalem in 580, which happened in 586. He was jailed. He later became an exile and died in exile, unfortunately. Okay. The blessings before Haftarah can be found on page 372. 372. Please join with me. Blessing before. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav b'divreihem hanemarim b'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet b'tzedek.
The words of Jeremiah, son of Hilkiah, one of the priests at Anathoth in the territory of Benjamin. The word of the Lord came to him in the days of King Josiah, son of Ammon of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign, and throughout the days of King Jehoiakim, son of Josiah of Judah, and until the end of the 11th year of King Zedekiah, son of Josiah of Judah, when Jerusalem went into exile in the 5th month. The word of the Lord came to me. Before I created you in the womb, I selected you. Before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet concerning the nations. I replied, Lord God, I don't know how to speak, for I am still a boy. And the Lord said to me, do not say, I am still a boy, but go wherever I send you and speak whatever I command you. Have no fear of them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. The Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, herewith I put my words into your mouth. See, I appoint you this day over nations and kingdoms, to uproot and pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. The words of the Lord came to me. What do you see, Jeremiah? I replied. I see a branch of an almond tree. The Lord said to me, you have seen right, for I am watchful to bring my word to pass. And the word of the Lord came to me a second time. What do you see? I replied. I see a steaming pot tipped away from the north. And the Lord said to me, from the north shall disaster break loose upon all the inhabitants of the land. For I am summoning all peoples of the kingdoms of the north, declares the Lord. They shall come and shall each set up a throne before the gates of Jerusalem, against its walls round about, and against all the towns of Judah. And I will argue my case against them for all their wickedness. They have forsaken me and sacrificed to other gods and worshiped the works of their hands. So you, gird up your loins, arise and speak to them. All that I command you, do not break down before them, lest I break you before them. I make you this day a fortified city, and an iron pillar, and bronze walls against the whole land, against Judah's kings and officers, and against its priests and citizens. They will attack you, but they shall not overcome you, for I am with you, declares the Lord, to save you. The word of the Lord came to me, saying, go proclaim to Jerusalem, thus said the Lord, I accounted to your favor the devotion of your youth, your love as a bride, how you followed me in the wilderness, in a land not sown. Israel was holy to the Lord, the first fruits of his harvest. All who ate of them were held guilty. Disaster befell them, declares the Lord.
Thank you, Hal. Thank you. Sorry, Sam. Okay, so now we move to the blessing after the Haftarah, which also is on 372, middle of the page. 372. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzaddik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah v'al avodah v'al avim v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim la umvarchim otah yitbarach shimcha B'ficho chai tamid li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai. Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Thank you, Hal. Sam. Now, it's my great privilege to bring forth Hal to lead us in the discussion of both Torah and Haftorah for today.
Shabbat Shalom. Our rabbi for the day left us with a number of issues that come up in both of the parshas for today, the twin parshas. The one that I wanted to start with was concerning the two tribes that didn't wish to cross into the promised land. They wanted to stay behind, and they wanted to stay behind because they had been in this place for a long time, and they felt it was good for them to just stay there and keep being productive and work the land as they knew, rather than going into the unknown, where they knew they were going to have to fight initial battles in order to claim their land. When Moses heard this, he became very angry and said to them in so many words, "You're going to stay here while all the other tribes are going to move into the Holy Land and fight for it. What does that mean that you are part of the Jewish family?" And I think that's something that we see today in everyday life as well. Judaism is very demanding. It has all the fun of the holidays, but it also has some very, very serious days when we get into Yom Kippur, for instance. And a lot of people want to be Jewish, but don't want to be part of the family. And I think that's something that hurts us as a group, as a neighborhood, as membership in a shul. And I thought I would bring that up and see how you feel about the same issue as a starting point. Now, that's something that I'm starting. If you wish to discuss one of the other points that were brought up, that's fine too. So I'm opening it up for any comments. Please. Sam, do you have could you pass that forward? I think Ivan would like to say a few words.
I can let you hear it.
It's on.
I'll never get used to using a mic. Life is never that important. They had agricultural reasons to stay. They had the Reubenites and the Gadites had all these cattle, and they loved the land where they were.
Yes.
On the eastern side of the Jordan. It was full of trees and woods and cattle feed, and so they wanted to stay there. But then God reminds them they have an obligation. They got to fight, cross the Jordan with their brethren, and fight. And I think that's a wonderful do we still have to fight for our brethren today? You said it. People forget that there's an institution of Judaism. We all come, we know there's a synagogue here, we enjoy company and prayer. Who set that all up? Who who's paying for it? Would it be here if we didn't pay dues? No. You don't support it, it disappears. If you don't get together as a group and unify your efforts and your direction, you won't have Judaism. And that's what we protect century after century. And I feel very responsible to teach it to my kids. Even though some of them are intimate practitioners of Judaism, you gotta feel like this is mishpacha. You got to defend it.
Right.
That's your brother, that's your sister, and they have to be dependent and supported. I feel very strongly, as you can see.
When you started, I was thinking of something different, but I want to bring it right to what you were saying. I was just thinking about the Jews in Europe who didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where I was going until you brought up what you brought up. And very interesting, I have a friend who was president of a synagogue in Cherry Hill, very active in the Jewish community there. And he's much younger than I am, but he is extremely upset that so many of his friends are no longer affiliated with synagogues. And he has a very interesting take. He believes that, and this is not my belief, but he believes that every Jew in Cherry Hill should be obligated to not join a synagogue, but to pay for the security of every synagogue. He feels that that is whether you're a practitioner or not, Ivan, with what's going on, he feels that as we protect our synagogue, and I'm not talking about praying, I'm talking about the security, he feels that all Jews should be obligated in some way right now in America to pay for the protection of the synagogue. Because if the synagogue is harmed, every Jew is harmed. I don't care whether you're a practitioner, as Ivan uses that word, or not. If they, I believe that when Judaism is attacked, every Jew is attacked, whether they belong to a synagogue or they do not. And yeah, I agree with Ivan. I know that Al and I were not raised in observant homes. We were raised in cultural Jewish homes.
Right.
And our commitment and our children's commitment is that as long as we are alive and able, we will absolutely support a synagogue. Because without our support, what are we? And in this day and age, more and more, we do understand and see that anti-Semitism is alive and well, and we have to show the world that we stand together.
Yes, and we can't afford to lose people through whether it just be ignorance or being not caring, no empathy towards the synagogue and so forth, especially as we try to pass along those values to our children and grandchildren. Anybody? Yes, sir.
What I was struck by is we had the daughters a few weeks ago. Which
Yes.
was kind of women's liberation, whatever.
Last
now
week.
we have kind of the opposite of it, where there's striking differences between vows for men and vows versus women, which is the opening of what I read this morning. The men, if they make a vow, that's it. They're obligated to it. Women, it's a little different. And because the women, if there's a widow and not, their husband has died and they haven't remarried, then yes, their oath stands. But if they're a young person or if they're married, it depends largely on the husband again, showing the patriarchal line and control at that time.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a sign of the times, but of course, the times have changed. And I think we've become more matriarchal than patriarchal. But it's still all of our responsibility to do whatever we can to help ourselves. And, you know, look at who's here today. We're always here. You know, not every week, but most of the time we're all here. And we can't seem to grow this. And I think a lot of people are missing a wonderful opportunity by not being here when we have this type of service.
To teach the next generation.
To teach the next, and bring the next generation, because the only time usually that the next generation is brought is because they have to be here to have a sign-off for their upcoming bar bat mitzvah. Is the other topic that it was the last one you had mentioned. You have that list?
Last one was, yes, the cities of refuge.
That's the other thing. I mean, we've discussed cities of refuge many years, every time this comes around. And cities of refuge seem to be more important every day with what's happening in this country. And so many places deny refuge that it's overwhelming on those who do. And while they were established in the Torah for those who were accused of what was listed as manslaughter today, inadvertently killing somebody. Today we use cities of refuge for much broader reasons, not the illegality or of laws, but for keeping people who can't afford to stay where they are from. And I mean afford not monetarily, but life-threatening, to come to this country and hope for the safety that we've always offered everyone who has come. We are a country of immigrants. I mean, other than the Native Americans, who themselves may have actually come from Russia at one time, from the extreme eastern part of Russia across into Alaska and then down into the United States. We're all immigrants. We are so lucky that our parents, our grandparents were treated not necessarily perfectly, but they were treated well enough that they were able to come here. They were able to form bonds with people here. They were able to open businesses or go to work, find jobs. And certainly through the vow of making life better for those who come after them, I believe they've exceeded those in many cases. And that's why we are able to stand here today. And the fact that we can't offer those types of opportunities to other peoples who are escaping bloodshed, murder, gangs, poverty, seems to me we've lost our history and our feeling of empathy for other peoples. And I think that's what the cities of refuge of the Torah brings to mind on my part. Anybody? Who's got the? Oh, who's got? Wait a minute. Who has the? Yes, you do, because we want other people online to hear you. Give it to Ivan, please. Yeah, it's on.
You'll forgive me, but I got a couple of loose ends in my mind. I think it was a wonderful direction, Hal.
Yeah. It's on.
I don't like this any more than the computer.
Put it close to your mouth.
Reuben and God and half of Manasseh did make their peace.
Yes.
They said, we will be the shock troops. We will go across the Jordan with you, and we will be the first. They will be the shock troops to absorb the attack. So they did make a promise, and it was all acceptable. And that's how they stuck together. And the other
But not before Moses became very angry at them and berated them to the point where they had to realize that they were wrong. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
The other gets far afield, but this thing with the women that make a vow are obligated to how their husband feels, because the women, it's not freedom, not female freedom. The women are obligated to do what the husband demands in the family, and if they make a vow and it's not agreeable with the husband, that can be dismissed.
Yes.
But if the woman is divorced, single, independent, she's responsible for the vow. So it's again female antagonism or whatever you call it. It's a little different direction. It's a whole different subject.
First of all, I think the refugee situation, that's a whole political thing. You said we have lost our ability, and I don't know that we have lost our ability. I think our country has lost its ability. But let me just say one thing, and I'm going to put a plug in here for the rabbi's responsive class, which Ivan often comes to and Golden comes to online. The rabbi discusses once a month a topic that is current, and what does Judaism believe? She doesn't talk about any of the political issues like abortion, like sanctuaries. She just talks about what Judaism believes. And let me tell you, and Ivan and Goldie, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. What we believe as a sanctuary, because churches have sanctuaries, okay? You have to hear this. Ivan can have a sanctuary in his house if he wants to keep people illegally. I can, Goldie can. But in order for the synagogue to do it, different than a church, every member of the synagogue would have to sign that they agree. Think about that. Think about that, right, Ivan? Every member of the synagogue would have to sign that they agree that we can allow people to seek sanctuary in our synagogue. That is what the rabbis in current time think, because every member of the synagogue would be responsible, could be held for keeping somebody illegal in their home. Let me, by the way, put in a plug for that. That is probably the class that I've had more interest in years, because it's very current. And if people on the outside ask you, what does Judaism think about abortion or sanctuaries, I know what I believe, but it's very, very enlightening to learn what the rabbis are speaking of. So think about that for next year.
Thank you, Harriet. Anybody else have any comments before we move on with the service? Thank you all.
Go, young man.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for your input. Okay. We turn now, oh, by the way, Rabbi always ends with Shabbat Shalom for the group. Thank you again for this interesting and rich discussion. Okay, we turn now to the conclusion of the Torah service and Aleinu, which begins on page 374. Please rise.